Hello, everybody. We're going to do a talk today on self love. It's probably like I would say, a 3 day weekend workshop. So we're going to try to cover some of the main points in a
Basics.
basics in a 15-minute video. Um, what we like to what we like to start with is that if you have ever seen an NDE video, there's lots of really
That
great.
means near death experience, which is now a very large group of
Yeah,
people that have had accidents or diseases or something that brought them through the veil to the
lightning
other
strike.
side, lightning strike, whatever it is, where they left this plane of reality, they left the body, and they went up into uh, the ancestor realm,
The upper realms.
the upper realms, and it's a little bit different for each person, but there are common experiences.
And so the people often report they have a life review. They're shown things that they did that harmed others, and they had to feel it. And they showed
But
things, and they also were shown things that they did that were positive and loving that helped others, and they got to feel that as well. So,
but they're
what
seeing it through
through the experience of the other person
yeah.
or other people that were involved. So it's
And
you're in a unified field and you're feeling the true nature of your essence, which is a unified loving being, and you're connected to everything. So that's what people in the
and
NDE
you're having your
experiences.
life review through the experience of our true nature as love, because when you go to the ancestral realm or higher realms, you are in a unified field of love. It transmits through and transforms you, so that your life review is happening through the eyes of love without any story, any defensiveness, any distortion, any hiding. It's complete understanding.
So when the folks come back, they always say our true nature was that higher dimension or plane
Unified.
of existence, and that here is not our true nature because it's heavy and there's a lot of distortions here. But the goal of the work,
And these are very inspiring stories
yes,
that we highly suggest you watch a number of them,
yes,
because the emotion and the transmission is inspiring to see, and it's transformative. And when you see who people were before their NDE, near death experience, and who they were after they had this realization of love and came back, and how much they let go of, their personal stories and authenticity and depth of vulnerability that they share, their sincerity is so deep and exquisite and beautiful. It will
it,
inspire you and transform you.
it's very inspiring. And when we watch those videos, we always think to ourselves when the folks get back that the point of the work that we do and the path that we have learned in multiple traditions is to actually have that experience before you die,
The life review.
to understand the impact you've had on others all around you, and your own internal sense of self-love is experienced now in this lifetime so that you can move to living in a more unified way, in a more healed way, but still be here walking around in a body. So that's actually the goal of all the spiritual work. So that's why we
We
say
can do it
it's
while we're down here in the
that's right.
body
So that's why we're saying watch those stories and see those experiences, be inspired, but also know that you can do that work now here, and that
in this
by
lifetime.
dismantling the false, heavy distortions and bringing in more self love, which is the light and the truth of your nature, the nature of your truth, then you move into these higher states of more subtle realms of understanding and
Clarity.
and having that feeling of love just constantly be emanating from you.
And we've assisted a lot of people through death and brought them up into the ancestral realm. So we actually see that blast of light, which is not separate from love. They're one and the same when people die. And the Buddha nature and peace that comes over people. Now, obviously, not everybody becomes an enlightened Buddha when they die, but the immense peace, and the recognition and remembrance and reclaiming of that sense of infinite universal vibration of love as our primordial truth of existence, you can see it in people when you assist them through the death process.
So this was going to be a video on self-love, but I think it just became a different
No,
type of
it's
video.
still a video on self love.
So
Let's talk about what is not self love.
yes, okay. So what is not self-love is having a dependency and ego attachment, or creating your self-worth, self-value based on something that's external. So that's like what kind of job you have, how beautiful you are, the type of clothes you wear,
your education,
yeah, how many degrees we
your
might
status,
have,
your fame, your
yeah.
fortune.
There's a common myth, a common misperception in the spiritual world that people are now saying that they're trying to sell you a workshop, but they're saying you're not loving yourself if you're not rich and want to be a millionaire.
I don't know if you guys have seen the news lately, but if you see people who are multi-billionaires, there is no quality of self-love that makes you focus so purely that you're able to create instant wealth. Instant wealth and immense wealth are created through focusing your intention on money above all else. And some people just karmically came here because they had a lesson to learn to be in that role of creating money.
And wealth and the absence of
But
wealth has nothing to do with how much you love yourself.
That's
so
right.
We'll just make that clear.
And yeah, the absence of money does not mean that you don't have self-worth, and that's something being sold, and it's false.
In fact, the gurus or the masters that we like the most, like Thich Nhat Hanh, didn't own anything. Paramahansa Yogananda didn't own anything. I mean, obviously they have centers, they have monks and monastic centers and temples, but they they themselves own nothing. So, self-worth is coming
because it's needed for service.
Self-worth coming from understanding your true nature and what is inside, the joy and happiness and love that you're generating and emanating from inside, comes from doing the work in a completely different way, which is not an externally focused, achievement-oriented way, which is our society teaches us to do that, but to go into an internal process to remove the things that are in the way of what our true nature is, which is love.
And I would share, I've had conversations with colleagues sometimes, and they're like, I don't understand what this big focus is on self-love. I love myself. I got my PhD. I have a really successful business. I have, I love myself in all ways because I've achieved everything I wanted to achieve. And I don't need anybody. That is not, as we said, those external things that fulfill the person as a personality, as goals that you had in your life. Achieving those goals do not equate with self-love. They don't equate with your understanding of your emotions, your ability to be present, not just with analyzing who you are and talking a lot about it, but actually being able to feel and transmit through such immense acceptance of your deepest hidden parts of yourself, knowing your needs in relationships, having healthy awareness of how other people treat you and what you're willing to tolerate and what you give your energy to. There is an immense amount of the way that you treat others and understand and accept others and don't interfere with others. The way our culture is universally codependent, and we think that we have to change each other or have expectations or have resentments that we're holding on to from the past. All of these are connected to knowing ourselves as the infinite nature of self-love, being our intrinsic true nature of reality. So there's deeper aspects that are a part of the inner journey. It's not the external packaging. I had another friend, I think, that asked me one time, define who you are. Who is Persia? And I said, I thought about it for a minute, and in the video that we did on overcoming the self-critic, I told this story where I was told that my only job for my existence is to drink the nectar of God, like the hummingbird drinks the sweetest nectar of life. And I thought, who am I? I'm the one who is here to drink the nectar of God. And my friend got so mad at me because that wasn't what she was asking me. That was how I defined the purpose of existence is who I am. And this is connected to this intrinsic reality of being love, just for existing, because we were all born from this primordial love, every living being. And she got really frustrated and said, no, 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 you're a shaman, you're a woman, you're a daughter, you're a sister. And I was like, no, I'm not any
Those
of
are all
those things.
identities that are not, they're not real.
None of those things meant anything to me. You're a women's studies major from, with your degree from college, whatever. I didn't feel attached to any of those things. They were meaningless to me. Being a person who is here to drink the nectar of God and know my true nature as God's love, as divine, infinite, primordial love, that made sense to me. So I answered truthfully. But that's some of the confusion around what self-love is.
There's an exercise that we recommend for this, which is to find one of these loving beings, someone who is emanating the purest essence of self-love, which is the divine nature, the divine light within. Thich Nhat Hanh is a good example of this.
A fully realized enlightened being.
Yes, maybe a picture of Jesus, or
Mother Mary,
something like that. So, or a picture of Krishna. But
Kuan Yin.
What's nice about Thich Nhat Hanh is it's got videos of him talking, and you can put on his video and stare at him, and imagine and envision him being inside your heart. There's there's lots of artwork in the spiritual traditions of the heart opening, and one of the, like Jesus in the heart or the Buddha in the heart. So picture Thich Nhat Hanh, because he's a fully realized Buddha. He's talking to you. See him in your heart and feel the love that he's emanating as you, and just sit and just kind of marinate yourself in that love,
in that feeling of peace and immense universal love that emanates off of an enlightened being.
Yeah. When I've done this with certain, there's a list of different teachers that we follow, and I'll stare at them and I'll do this practice, and then like everything turns golden, and their face is like the only thing that's in everything is gold. And this has happened to me many times when I do this practice. So you start to just kind of you kind of like dissolve into the light, and you kind of merge with everything. So try it. You will be surprised. And then we'll do another.
Actually we're way not done.
Oh, we're not.
There's
okay.
actually a path in every tradition. It's called Pampa Masayak in the Paco Andino lineage. This is to reawaken the heart. It's called Bodhicitta in the Mahayana lineage. The purpose is to reawaken the heart. It's called Bhakti in the yoga lineage. And all of these lineages share in common the goal at that stage of development is to remember divine love within. That goal is to reconnect to your empathy for the suffering of all beings. So I want to talk a little bit about, as we said, your life review can happen now. This is a self-inquiry process. And so what we tell people all the time is, why are we walking around forgetting that we're this immense love? We're not in an enlightened, recollection of our enlightened nature. Where did this self-love go? So our ancestry has habits, conditions, and things that are seen as comfortable, familiar, and normal, that are socially accepted, that we don't question. And when we come into a body and we're children, we have very strong mirror neurons because our brain waves are dominated by delta brain waves in the frontal lobe. And whatever degree of understanding the parent has, or your main caregiver has, of what infinite self-love is and how they walk through the world with that, is not separate from the child. The child has no capacity to separate, because mirror neurons put you in a unified field. So you're going to adopt on some level, whether it's conscious or unconscious, and for most of us it's 95% unconscious, you're going to have a transmission of the awareness of and perception of who you are, transmitted from the familiar conditions that pass through your ancestry for many generations. And so when children come down from this infinite field of love back into this incarnation in a body, when they experience that level of understanding from the family member who is their main caretakers, they identify themselves as that lack of love. And when that happens, protections happen inside of us as children. Those protections are there because it's overwhelming when we're thinking or when we're receiving the transmission of something that isn't connected to that infinite unified space of primordial existence as love that we meet when we're in the in-between incarnations. And when we perceive that, it's a shocking existential crisis and an overwhelm that you won't remember. It's buried deep in the unconscious, and you don't just shut yourself off to the pain and the overwhelm. You shut yourself off. We all do. If you're born here in a body, universally, we all to some degree shut ourselves off, not only to the pain, but to the capacity to feel at all. And if you don't have the capacity to feel, you cannot digest part of the truth of who you are. You cannot self-regulate. You cannot transcend and transmute and witness who you truly are, because we're protecting ourselves. So we close to it as children. It's kind of like a universal virus that gets passed around. We've talked about this many times in our videos. That is why we forget who we are. And when people ask us all the time, why is there so much suffering in the world? What you're seeing is a global forgetting, a global amnesia, where everyone is suffering so greatly that they're willing to harm other beings. And we all do unintentional, unconscious sorcery to others to the degree that we do it to ourselves, because we don't remember our true nature as this infinite divine love. Self-love is intrinsic to your existence. Existence is love. So we're all walking around with amnesia. So I would say that this transmission that Grace was talking about as an exercise is a wonderful, powerful beginning practice. There's many practices that we talk about, and some of them in our other videos. Mantra is another one. But to get into this exalted state, to receive a transmission from witnessing a being that emanates perfect peace and perfect infinite love. Many people have had visions and experiences of seeing these beings, and I've had many throughout my life. And when you see them, you look at them and you feel the emanation of absolute unconditional love, and you remember this is the truth and purpose of humanity. That love and heart openness is actually what we really are. We can walk through the world knowing that's what we are, and this love is the purifier that helps us drop all other conditioning that has become confusion, patterns, and habits in our personality that separate us from our true nature and cause harm to ourselves and others. So again, knowing ourselves as love, even when you're witnessing a being that is fully awakened and you're feeling the transmission of their infinite love, you can say with clear intention, I want to remove what's in the way of knowing myself as infinite divine love. I want to remember who I truly am. I want to reopen my heart. Show me how to know myself as this.
And we suggest that if you do that prayer to be shown what's in the way, of knowing and
That you work
experiencing your
with us
true
directly.
nature. You work with us, but you can also,
Because that's going to be a ride.
you could ask before you go to bed to get a dream about something, and you might get some information come through for you to work on. So anyway, I think that's it for today. We don't want to keep these videos too long. And we'll
Hit the like button.
hit the like button.
Share.
And we'll be doing an in-person live workshop here one of these days. Soon we'll announce soon when that's going to be. We'll thank you for watching, and we'll talk
Thank
again
you.
soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.